Welcome back to day 23 of 31 monsters in 31 days. We are getting low here, guys. Let's find out who we're making today. We are making a witch. All right, classic. Let's get started.
While we're sketching out the plan and making the basic blob shape that all the monsters in this series are built off of, I'm going to give you a bit of a history of the witch and the reason I included her on my monster list. If you want to see slower, step-by-step instructions on how to make this basic blob form, check out this video. For details on how I do my paper mache, check out this video. Both are linked in the description. The Halloween witch as a monster has a complicated history. Witches haven't always been seen as evil. In ancient and early Europe, women who practiced folk healing, herbalism, or midwifery were respected community members. With the rise of Christianity, these practices were reframed as heretical or demonic. In medieval Christian art, the witch became a scapegoat figure, combining the misogyny and anti-Semitism that unfortunately prevailed at the time. The iconic image of the green-skinned witch came from the 1939 film The Wizard of Oz. The use of color was very important in the film, which dramatically transitioned from a sepia toned of Kansas, USA to the vibrant Technicolor world of Oz. The novel on which the film was based did not describe the Wicked Witch's character as having green skin, but filmmakers decided a green witch would look better in Technicolor. The film was immensely popular for decades and decades, and the green skin witch trope then filtered into pop culture and Halloween imagery. Since the 20th century, some have reinterpreted the witch as a symbol of female strength, independence, and resistance. Gregory Maguire's 1995 novel Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West, reframed the antagonist of Oz as a misunderstood victim of prejudice and a symbol of female power. Like so many of our Halloween symbols, the witch sits at the crossroads of opposites: fear and fascination, oppression and rebellion, prejudice and self-definition. And it's for all these reasons I had to include her on my monster list. Alright, so you already saw that I've incorporated my witch's pointy hat into the blob. After I made the basic form, I made a big cone out of Bristol board, taped it to the top of the blob, gave it a bit of a bend, and then taped it in place. I did my paper mache all over the whole form plus the hat, so the hat is mostly done. I just need to make the brim, which I've cut out of Bristol board, and eventually will just slide on like this. I forgot to make air dry clay teeth ahead of time, so I made these witchy teeth off camera out of some oven baked clay, and now they're ready to go. I'm painting the inside of the witch's smile black. It's a lot easier to do this now than try to get inside her mouth with a paintbrush later when all the teeth are in place, so we're taking care of that now. I'm using some green construction paper to make her gums. I like to use the colored paper here so I don't have to try to paint around all the teeth later. This paper can be a little bit more firm than the brown paper that I usually use for paper mache, so to make it a bit easier to work with, I rip off all the cut edges, then crumple and uncrumple the sheet into a ball a few times. Doing this softens the paper quite a bit and makes it a lot easier to work with. I'm folding a bit of that green paper in half and then hot gluing it around the base of my witch's tooth, being very careful not to burn my fingers. I'll use another dab of hot glue to stick that into her mouth. After I have all the teeth installed, I'll use a brush to soak all that paper in glue. I'll then use a bit more green paper to blend the gums into the sculpture a bit and to fill in her smile line. Her gums might show after I add on the lips. For lips, I'm using a strip of paper coated in glue. I'm twisting up a bit of paper towel to make the lips a bit chubbier, then folding it inside the paper like a little taco. Starting with the top lip, I'm wrapping the paper taco onto her face, finishing with the bottom lip in a big evil smile. I'm blending the lips into the sculpture with a bit more brown paper mache. I'm using a wad of paper to build up her chin, and of course that chin gets covered with paper mache too, and then I'm setting her aside to dry. I used a bit of Bristol board and a ball of aluminum foil to make her nose. After I glued on her nostrils, I decided I wanted her nose to be much longer and pointier, so another bit of foil here helps to accomplish that. I'm covering the nose assembly in a bit of paper mache and setting that aside to dry. I'm going to make a quick pair of ears now too. I'm using a bit of cereal bark. I'm cutting a small slit into the cardboard to make a dart. I'm overlapping the legs of the dart with some glue to give the cardboard a bit of shape. And then finally I'm bulking out the top of the ear with a bead of hot glue. When the glue has cured and set, I'm covering the ears with a bit of paper mache, then setting them aside to dry too. The witch's mouth is dry, so I'm going to use these 2 buttons to make her eyes. These buttons, along with the other supplies I like, are linked in my supply list in the video description. I'm using a pair of side cutters to cut the shank off the button. Then I'm hot gluing the eyeballs onto her face. I've got the brim of the hat on while I'm gluing so I can make sure the eyes are in a good spot. Now I'm going to make some lower eyelids. I'm folding some of my brown paper a few times to thicken it up. Then I'm wrapping it around the lower bit of the button. I want to give her some wrinkles under her eye, so I'm scrunching up some paper to make lots of wrinkles and sticking it on under her eyelids. I'm making her upper eyelids much in the same way as I made the lower eyelid. I'm also giving her a lot of wrinkles there too. Now I'll stick on her ears and paper mache around those joints. I've got to wait for her face to dry before I can glue on her nose, but first I'll stick a gluey bit of paper towel onto her chin for a nice juicy wart. Her face is dry now, so I can use some hot glue to stick on her nose. And I'm blending it in with some small bits of paper mache. I can finally glue on that hat brim now. I'm tilting the hat upwards quite a bit so the brim doesn't hide her precious little face. I'm covering the brim inside and out with paper mache. I want it to look like the witch is wearing clothes, so I'm giving her a mock shirt collar by coating a long strip of paper in glue. I'm folding it so there's 4 layers of paper along the edge. This makes it nice and thick. I'm wrapping this around the blob and blending that in with some smaller strips to make it look more cohesive. Now we need to let her dry one more time before paint and hair. Alright, here she is all dry. I'm going to start her paint job by painting her wart brown just so we're starting with the same base color. Next, I'm masking off her little shirt collar and her teeth because I'm going to use a makeup sponge to pounce the paint on there. I used this paint technique on my Frankenstein project and I think it will look great on my witch too. After giving her an all over green foundation, I'm going in with a lighter green shade to bring out some highlights. After peeling the tape off her teeth, I realized they were far too clean, so I'm giving her whole mouth a brown wash. I've also mixed up a dark green wash and I'm using it to put some low lights in her eye wrinkles. Finally, her shirt and hat will get a simple all-over coat of matte black. I'm gluing on some bits of faux fur for the witch's hair. I'm getting lots of use out of this bit of black fur in this series, which is awesome. Her hair is a bit too fluffy for a witch in my opinion, so I'm dipping my fingertips in my paper mache paste and using that like hair gel to give her a crustier hairdo. Finally, I'm cleaning off her eyeballs with a Q-tip dipped in alcohol, and then, like always, I'm gluing some black felt onto the base of the sculpture. And here's our finished witch. How do you think I did? Let me know in the comments. If you think I did a good job, please give this video a like and maybe hype it up a little. Since I'm a smaller channel, anytime you interact, it really helps me out because it tells YouTube this video is worth watching. I appreciate it all and I try to reply to every single comment. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss tomorrow's video. I'll post it ad-free on my Patreon. Thanks so much for watching to the end and I'll see you tomorrow.